All right, we are in the final stretch with neutrals. So let's kick things off with a doozy, Kael'thas Sinstrider. So this is obviously a callback to the previous Kael'thas card. Every third minion you play, each turn costs 0. Previously, of course, there was Kael'thas Sunstrider, which was every third spell you play, each turn costs 0, which was then changed to 1, changed to 7 costs, yada yada yada. A bunch of stuff being shuffled back and forth. I've seen a lot of people really terrified of this card because obviously the memory of the impact of the previous Kael'thas was that it basically would just combo off like crazy. I think this is less scary. I do think this is still a powerful card, but minions intrinsically don't necessarily have effects when you play them right away like spells do. So continuing to play out is less likely, as well as kind of naturally having the restriction of board space. You can't just like keep playing stuff. There's not like an ultimate infestation minion, right? Like a big thing that you would do with the original Kael'thas would be like Kael'thas into innervate spell ultimate infestation, which would chain you into like more and more and more and just keep doing nonsense stuff. Which is not to say that this isn't powerful. I do think this is still powerful. And Kael'thas himself does count as your first minion. So, for instance, you could play Kael'thas into Bran into Sire Denathrius, fire off double battle cry from your 10 cost spell, which would be on 9 mana potentially, which is, quite powerful, right? But I don't think it is like as problematic as the previous Kael'thas was. It will definitely be able to enable some very powerful things you otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to get. But many of those are, not like able to just keep chaining and doing, nonsense, ridiculous things. You can certainly get like, hey, I put this combo together and, like for instance, like Bran Sire Denathrius, right? That's often going to kill your opponent, right? Kael'thas into Bran to Sire Denathrius will frequently do tons of damage. But currently, at least, there's at least Mutinous, which gives you some amount of disruption for any kind of minion-based combos, which was not the case for spell-based combos. You can't really disrupt them nearly as easily. You can do it with like any number of like the big tail end like Bran into big battle cry thing, right? That's the main thing that I think is scary about Kael'thas is Kael'thas into Bran into Sire Denathrius into Jace into whatever. There's a number of things that can be done that way. That can like get you over the hump of being able to like actually kill your opponent with this thing, which in many cases would kill your opponent anyway. So it doesn't really feel like it's like making it so that you're doing something which is like tremendously unfair. It's just making your thing, which is already really powerful, kill people who gained a bunch of armor, for instance. So that's really kind of where I stand on this. It is possible that it is outside the realm of reason, and some of those combinations will be too powerful, whatever. I don't really expect this to be like, hey, you Kael'thas into a chain of tons of things, which is really the problem with the old Kael'thas. It's going to be more like, hey, this Kael'thas lets me now Bran into Giant Battlecry, which is obviously very powerful, but could be done with like, some sort of minor cost reduction anyway, and doesn't necessarily seem like it's truly, truly outrageously broken like some people seem to expect it to be. Next up, this is a pretty cool card. Theotar the Mad Duke. Battlecry, discover a card in each player's hand and swap them. I think this is a very interesting card for potential disruption for combo type decks. If you're playing against, say, like Boar Priest, right? And it's like, okay, I will Theotar, swap, take your Boar, your deck no longer functions. I love this kind of thing, which can, make it so that it is more difficult to be able to win with combination style strategies. And obviously, it's not like it's the 4-cost 3/3, right? Not really exactly a card that is likely to be like truly dominant, but is an interesting tech style card. One of the obviously there's issues with some of the other tech style like disruptive cards, like for instance Shadowhunter Vol'jin requires your opponent to have a minion in hand. Mutinous costs 7, which can be too slow to deal with a lot of these things, and none of those things hit spells. And this is a way to actually swap and potentially steal key spells for your opponent's deck to function. That can be played around by keeping a big hand, so it's less likely your opponent hits your thing, or if in the case of like something like Boar Priest, being able to play and kill your boars and make sure you cycle your amulets, your opponent can't steal your amulets and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think that this is a very interesting card, and I think that is most likely to see play primarily as combo disruption rather than like, hey, I'm going to try and steal your high value card, because otherwise, like you're playing a 4-cost 3/3, pretty low value to begin with, and pretty devastating to try and play against like a tempo or aggressive deck. But definitely an interesting tool that enables the ability to disrupt combo decks that otherwise are difficult to manage. Next up, we have Insatiable Devourer. 9 cost, 4/4. Battlecry, devour an enemy minion and gain its stats, infuse 5 and its neighbors. So this is cool. I mean, we have the abominable belly dude, who, you know, is an 8 cost but doesn't target. This targets and can eat multiple things. So I think this is a, you know, unlikely to be a card that sees like, you know, a ton of constructed play or anything like that, but maybe in like, you know, like ramp druid with like Scalvanixia, you know, this is like, okay, you got anything big? I play this, you know, Celestial Alignment or whatever. It's like I'll clear stuff with Scalvanixia, and then oh, you have more big things. All right, eat them all. Very powerful card, I think, in Arena, I imagine, but seems most likely to only realistically see play in Druid, like most gigantic neutral cards in Constructed. Next up is Stoneborn Accuser. 5 cost, 5/5, infuse 5, gain Battlecry, deal 5. Probably not likely to see any constructed play, a little bit too inefficient, but likely to, again, be a powerful arena card if you are able to get it off. Next up is Ashen Elemental. 3 cost, 2/4 Elemental. Whenever your opponent draws a card next turn, they take 2 damage. Probably a difficult card to actually put into your deck. Doesn't have like a high enough pain point for combo decks that are likely to be like looking to draw cards that you're probably better off just trying to like kill them more quickly. And I don't know. Could be an interesting card to discover off of Amalgam in an Elemental deck to try to find an opportunity to blast them when they're comboing off. It is a potential Ice Block counter in Wild, though. That's not irrelevant. Famished Fool. So this is an interesting card. 5 cost, 3/5, draw a card, infuse 4, draw 3 instead. This feels like a potentially strong card in like a Shaman deck that can often struggle with card draw, but has a lot of, you know, small minions. I talked a lot about schooling in the Shaman section, about how schooling is very, very powerful with infuse effects. Shaman right now, if you're playing Murlocs, have access to Gorlok Ravager, but if you're not playing Murlocs, you are often like really low on resources. And same is true of a lot of aggressive decks. I think it's a really interesting card for those decks. It is still a little bit clunky. You know, it's a 3/5 for 5, drawing you 3 cards. But even in that case, like, you know, being able to just churn through your deck if you're playing an aggressive deck with a lot of token stuff can be extremely valuable, especially for classes like Shaman that don't really have much access to good card draw in their minion-based decks. Next up is Bog Beast. This is the spiritual successor to Sludge Belcher. It is a 6 cost, 3/6, rather than a 5 cost, 3/5, but its death rattle is summon a 2/4 rather than a 1/2. It's been a long time since Sludge Belcher. I think Sludge Belcher sort of effect is likely to be still pretty decent for like a mid-range type deck. 6 is pretty expensive though. Starts to, I think, get a little bit tougher to use at that point to realistically defend yourself against early to mid-game minions. But I do think that, you know, this definitely is a neutral card that has potential to become a, you know, commonly played defensive tool in a lot of different decks. Next we have Masked Reveler. A 6 cost 4/4 with Rush. Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 copy of another minion in your deck. So this is, I think, pretty obviously a card that's very good in a Death Rattle deck. You know, it is able to kill itself right away. This is a potential conclusion like a Smokescreen deck, where, you know, you get a 2/2 with another Death Rattle. Could be good in like the Death Rattle Druid type decks that we were talking about earlier that have the ability to you know, if you just have a bunch of Death Rattles, very powerful with that. Could be very powerful with Colossals if you are able to make copies of those and get their appendages as well. But most likely to see play in like a Death Rattle heavy deck that you're going to want to get more of your Death Rattle effects. Next we have Crooked Cook. At the end of turn, if you dealt 3 or more damage to the enemy hero, draw a card. Very good card for, you know, a lot of aggressive decks. You know, we talked a lot about like empty hand style Demon Hunter. This is something that can facilitate your empty hand type stuff. And, you know, you're very likely to be hitting your opponent for 3 with stuff like 0 cost plus 3 attack. This is the anti-Soup Vendor, right? Soup Vendor was the if you heal 3 or more, draw a card. This is if you hit for 3 or more, draw a card. So feels like it's very likely to be quite powerful in, you know, aggressive strategies that are looking to you know, continuously push for damage and find ways to refill their hand. Next was Muck Plumber. All minions cost 2 more. 5 cost, 5/5. This is a very interesting card. So this is like a Lotheb-ish type card, right? This is something that you can use to like shut down minion-based combo type strategies. This is an interesting card if you like, you know, at like the sort of top of your curve for like an aggressive deck. Stops your opponent from being able to like play like a big taunt. Stop your opponent from like, say your opponent like plays like Celestial Alignment, right? And you're just like, boom. Your 1 mana is Muck Plumber. And they're like, oh, all right. Well, now I can't play any of my stuff. It's interesting. It feels like it's you know, a tech type card. Obviously, this isn't something that just goes into a deck naturally. It has no minion types. It does stop people from playing anything that costs over 9 because unless they're guffing, you know, because it does not max out at 10. It does seem particularly powerful as an answer to someone playing Celestial Alignment, other than the fact that they can just kill it with Scale of Onyxia. If it weren't for Scale of Onyxia, this would be like an incredible thing to like follow up Celestial Alignment with, because, well, now you can't play any minions. Next up we have Dredger Staff. 1 cost 1/2 battlecry. Give minions in your hand +1 health. Huh. Interesting. Maybe this is good like as like an early play in like a frenzy type deck, or just to like, you know, if there's like specific health breakpoints. Maybe this is good like against like, you know, decks that are vulnerable to Spammy Arcanist. Stop you from, you know, your stuff from getting blown out there. Could just be good in a like an okay minion, like a zoo deck that's just full of minions. It's a little bit weird. And it is also weird that there is a dredge mechanic that isn't dredge in Magic, but also doesn't dredge because it's Dredger Staff. Next up we have a neutral totem, Sinstone Totem. At the end of your turn, gain +1 health. 0/3 for 1. It's kind of a weird card. You know, like probably like this probably does go into Totem Shaman. Obviously, it's just, you know, a totem that can stick around and keep itself getting bigger. You obviously need ways to actually buff it, take advantage of it in order for it to matter. If it's just, you know, gaining health, you need ways to give it attack, to give your, you know, give your totems attack, whatever else. Could go in like Priest. You like play this in turn 1, keeps growing. You bless it. Seems more likely to just be something that only really sees play in Totem Shaman anyway, though. Next up we have Roosting Gargoyle. Battlecry, it's 2 cost 2/3. Battlecry, give a friendly beast +2 attack. It's weird that this isn't a beast itself, that it does this. Seems awkward to try to play in a deck that cares about beast synergy while not itself being a beast, so it doesn't feel like it's likely to see in play. Next up we have Sin Runner. Speaking of things that you can potentially smoke screen into. 5 cost 6/5 beast, battlecry, or death rattle, destroy a random enemy minion. This is also the sort of thing that could be potentially good in like the activate your death rattle for free druid. Be able to just pop off, kill you if your opponent has one big thing. Boom, it's gone. Anything that like, you know, doubles your death rattles. This and like the, like I said, like the smoke screen graveyard deck, blow them up. Kaboom! Next up we have Sin Fueled Golem. Has infused 3, gain stats equal to the attack of the minions that infused this. It feels more like an arena card than anything else. I suspect, I don't know if this like gets to if this can be silenced, it's just definitely not good. I think it probably can be, which means it's pretty bad. Seems very, very hard to effectively use this without like taunt or something like that. Like no taunt, no rush. Seems kind of bad to me. It does. I assume that it stops infusing once it gets infused at 3. Otherwise, like maybe it's good because it actually just like, you know, scales up massively, but does not seem like it would. And so we have Dinner Performer. 3 cost 2/3. Summon a random minion from your deck that you can afford to play. Huh. So this is weird. My expectation is that the most likely way that this sees play is that it's used to tutor for like a specific card, right? That you play this to like tutor out like a specific combo piece in your deck that you're always looking to get, like, I don't know, like a boar, or like you play this at like, you know, turn 4, turn 5, you get like some stealth. I don't know. I don't really know what it would be, but like it seems like more than anything, this is likely to be used that way. Maybe you play it in a deck that like really cares about infused stuff, and you play it like the deck actually has like wisp and stuff, so you get like this plus a wisp. I don't know. Does not seem like it's likely to see any like normal play outside of attempting to tutor combo pieces. Okay, this card is cool. Steam Cleaner. Battlecry, destroy all cards in both players' decks that didn't start there. You know what deck is going to struggle to beat this? Restore Druid. Oh, you turned all your minions into dragons? Bye! You turned all your deck into treasures? Bye! Kazakhstan in absolute shambles right here. So yeah, I really do like this as a way to answer things that otherwise couldn't really be answered, right? Kazakhstan, obviously, like I think that the concept of the card is cool. The way that it's been used is like largely been like, less cool, and having a way to deal with that, and maybe play this in wild. Maybe there's like bomb warrior, right? You're just like, okay, I'm gonna clean out all the bombs in my deck. Your opponent puts like, Curse of Agonies in your deck. I'm gonna get the Curse of Agonies out of my deck. I'm gonna get the Garrets out of your deck. Although, in Garrett Rogue, they basically would just kill you in a single turn anyway that they play the Garrett, so it doesn't really matter. You can potentially use this if they against like Quest Priest, right? If they don't immediately tutor for the win condition, boop, eat it. I think this is just a very cool card. Has a lot of interesting applications that it can handle situations that normally there aren't great answers to, and it's not like, ultra efficient at doing anything. It's a 5-cost 5/5, right? This is a Lotheb, right? And it's not the sort of Lotheb that's just like you can universally play it in 5, and your opponent's like, okay, well, that's good against me. It's very, very narrowly applicable. Again, it's very good against dredge stuff, right? Like, any of the sunken things, put things in your bottom of your deck, anything like that. Very cool card. Very glad it exists. Don't expect it to see like a ton of play unless stuff like Presto Druid is all over the place. But if it is, whew, this is going to create some salty, salty players. All right, next up we have Stoneborn General. 10-cost Rush. Death Rattle summon a 8/8 with Rush. So it's 10-cost 8/8, makes it 8/8 when it dies. So this feels like a very powerful card for like the, hey, I'm going to make a copy of that. This is a very good thing to put into, a smokescreen deck. I'm going to smokescreen, boom, here's some 8/8s. Very, very, very powerful tools for Death Rattle focused decks. Next we have Forensic Duster. Battlecry, your opponent's minions cost 1 more next turn. This could be like just a medium tempo card that can also be like a powerful tool for like, stopping people from, comboing off. Possible card that you can, it's just a 3-cost 3/4 that can slow down someone, but it can also be like something that you, in certain matchups, like say against like Celestial Alignment Druid, right? Against Alignment Druid, you could play your curve normally. They play Alignment and you play Forensic Duster, so they can't play like, a million minions next turn, starting with Anaconda, because they can't play Anaconda because she costs 2. So I think this is actually like a really kind of quietly powerful card, in that it is, just a medium decent minion that can, disrupt normal pace of play while also having very meaningful upside against certain types of combos. Scuttlebutt Ghoul, a 4-cost 2/5 taunt. If you control a secret, summon a copy of this. Some neutral secret support, not too bad, not too amazing, but could be good. Okay, this is one of my favorite cards in the set. Murloc Holmes. Solve 3 clues by your opponent's cards to get copies of them. So the way this works, for those who don't know, you first get a question, pick one of these cards that was in your opponent's opening hand. And if you pick right, you get to go to the second clue, which is pick one of these cards that's currently in your opponent's hand. And then there's another one, pick one of these cards that is in your opponent's, that's like not in your opponent's hand, in their deck or whatever. So this is a 3-cost 3/4 that can get you 3 cards from their deck. If you don't correctly solve all 3 clues, you get nothing. Good day, sir. But if you do, you get all 3. So speaking of 3/4s for 3 with potential upside. So this is a very interesting card because it's a 3/4 for 3. So you could just play it in turn 3 and be very difficult to solve the clues. But, you want to play a 3/4. Later in the game, it gets a lot easier. But, yeah, very cool card. I think it's super cool with the, we're trying to solve the mystery, solve the puzzles, and get a big-time payoff if you do. Next up, we have Creepy Painting. A 3-cost 0/6. After another minion dies, become a copy of it. It's a really weird card. Seems cool for, you could play this with, like removal to get, like, you play this with, like, the 1-cost deal damage to a guy equal to its power. Boom! Get a huge minion. Because this is on your side or their side of the board. So I think this could be pretty good. It's obviously very situational. Pretty awkward. Probably not, like, something you actually can, like, realistically build a deck around. But maybe. Maybe you could. Maybe you play this in, like, Bomb Rogue for more effective bombs, right? You use this with, like, with Bomb to get, like, your Forsaken Lieutenants turn into bombs. This becomes more bombs. You get more bombs. I hope not, but that does seem like a potential application of it. Next up we have Dispossessed Soul. 4-cost 4/5. If you control location, discover a copy of a card in your deck. I just think this is a good, like, locations are good. This seems like it's, you know, a 4-cost 4/5 that discovers a copy of a card. Seems like a good card. Obviously, like you at least right now can only have 2 copies of any location, and there's only 1 location per class. You can only have 2 locations in your deck. So this is not super easy to enable, but it's also a Yeti, which is not terrible, but it's a copy too. So this can give you additional copies of, you know, key cards in your deck. So it's a pretty interesting card. Next up, we have Party Crasher. I love this card. It's an 8-cost 7/9. I talked about this earlier, I think, with Druid. Choose an enemy minion, throw a random minion from your hand at it. So this is, you know, something that is good with big minions. It's good with Death Rattle minions. It could potentially be like, I play a 7/9 for 8 and also get like a gigantic minion to play, which kills one of your minions. So I think this card's super cool. It looks like it's mostly likely to be like a, you know, a big warrior, big druid type card, because obviously, like, you know, you want to play this big thing and have more big things. My assumption of the way this works is that you play this, it puts your minion into play and attacks the opposing minion, and then your minion, if it survives, stays in play. So that's my understanding of the mechanics of this. I could be wrong, but it seems at least what the intuitive result would be. So it's a interesting way to get like big minions into play, you know, multiple big minions into play and kill your opponent's thing, very likely, because I assume you're just playing a bunch of big minions. Next up, we have Demolition Renovator. 4-cost 4/4, destroy enemy location. So pretty straightforward. This is the anti-location tech card. Please don't play it first week, because I want to play locations in like all of my decks. It's like relatively inefficient, right? It's kind of expensive and it's understated, so I don't expect it to be like the sort of thing that, unless there are a lot of locations floating around, sees a ton of play anyway. Next we have Priest of the Deceased. Oh, poor Priest of the Feast. He is a 2-cost 2/3 taunt with infused 3 gain +2/+2. Return of Taunt Druid? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is I think a fine card. Obviously pretty medium. Just 2-cost 2/3 taunt, not great, but not terrible. But if you do infuse this, it's a very powerful card. So I could see this actually seeing play in you know, a deck like token taunt style druid. Next up we have Invitation Courier. After cards added to your hand for another class, copy it. That's sweet. I didn't even see this card before now. So you know, possibly powerful card for like thief type rogue. Also a possibly powerful card for thief style priest. Not really likely to see play in the pure paladin for the invitations, because you'd have to draw this first. Seems like it has some possible upside. The problem is, like, you got to get this guy to play and then play your thief cards, and a lot of the thief cards, you know, things like jackpot, you don't really want 4 jackpot cards, right? Like, it's good, I think, with reconnaissance. It's good with, you know, things that are giving you like discounted stuff. It seems a lot worse with a lot of the thief cards that actually exist right now. But that, with the guy who discounts all your stolen stuff in Priest, does seem like it could be good. Sketchy Stranger. Battle card discovery. Secret for another class. Well, there you go. Goes with that guy. Doesn't seem very good. Feels like there's just a lot of mediocre secrets that you can get from like Paladin at 1 cost. Maybe it's good if you like really, really are a secret, you know, secret devoted in your deck, but doesn't seem likely to be super great. Maybe you're playing like Rogue that wants off-class things and secrets. It could be this could actually be very good. This could be good in Quest Priest, because it's a 2-cost thing that can get you a 3-cost thing. There's only like mage secrets that are 3, but it has a decent chance of getting you a 3, so could be. And then we have Vault of Skeleton. We saw a lot of skeleton creating cards in Mage, but here is the skeleton itself. 2-cost 2/2, Death Rattle, deal 2 to a random enemy. Obviously by itself, not super good, but summoned en masse and backed up by Kael'thas, quite powerful. Next up we have Anonymous Informant. Battle card, the next secret you play costs 0. So pretty obviously at its best in Mage, where your secrets cost the most. And it is next secret, not next secret this turn. So this is something that can be used to ensure that you get the triggers of the 4-cost 4/4, for instance. Or enable you to like set up to play like a counterspell or something at the perfect time. So definitely seems quite strong. Next we have, hey, my boy, Prince Renathal. I am not going to review Renathal right now, because I was talking about making an entire video discussing Renathal that I never made, and I have 8 million things to say about him, but this is my favorite single card they've ever released before an expansion. Super cool. Stop playing with quests. Next we have Maze Guide. Summon a random 2-cost minion, 2/2. Pretty obviously just intended as evolve fodder, but not particularly powerful one, which I like. Next we have Murlocula. It's actually a pretty interesting card. 4 cost, 3/4, obviously pretty bad, but Lifesteal Murloc, infuse for this costs 0. So having a 0 cost Murloc with a lot of the Murloc synergy type stuff, especially being able to give this guy like 0 rush, 0 like be able to like, you know, stack stats in him, pretty sweet. Definitely feels like this is the sort of card because, you know, any 0 cost minion, right, has some reminders of like Corridor Creeper and whatnot. So certainly don't want to overlook it. Definitely seems like it has some potential. We have Red Herring. This card is super funny. 7 cost, 3/12 taunt. Your non-red herring minions have stealth. I love that this is a like clue, like investigative set. And there's red herring, as in like the concept of red herring, which is something that draws you off the path. Then it's actually a red herring fish that you must attack. It's great. It's so great. It's so clever. But yeah, it's a 3/12 that they you know, that they have to attack, basically. Not just because it has taunt. They can't even attack your other taunts. They can't even hit your other taunts, your other things until it's dead. It's a pretty cool card. I really like it. I like the concept of it. I like the name of it. I don't know that it's actually going to see play because it's a 7 cost, you know, 3 attack minion that like, yes, it protects your other stuff. But I mean, like, if you like, you know, play this alongside something like Bolner, right? They can't attack your Bolner. They can't target your Bolner with a spell. They have to kill the 12 health thing. So who knows, maybe. Finally, last but not least, we have the individual who made this entire set possible, Sire Denathrius. So Sire Denathrius, a 10 cost 10/10 Lifesteal. Battlecry, deal 5 damage among enemies. Endlessly infuse, deal 1 more. So this is obviously the sort of capstone infuse card that really wants you to play a bunch of stuff that dies and can, if you do so, just win the game. And also, crucially, lifesteal. So even if this does not just end the game on the spot because you know, infused 40 minions in it, it can, you know, clear your opponent's board and heal you back to full life. So this is, you know, pretty obviously like a very, very powerful card that can, you know, draw all the anima or whatever that it soaks from everything that died around it and close the game with a huge burst of Cthulhu-like damage. But yeah, this feels like the sort of thing that's like, okay, well, maybe Kael'thas wasn't enough. Maybe we needed another burst of damage from all those skeletons. Here's Sire Denathrius 2. Boom. So you know, obviously this is, you know, a card that a lot of the other tools in the deck, in the set, like the various token generators, the other infused stuff, sort of help support, builds toward. Obviously something that you can use the you know, Kael'thas plus Bran alongside to potentially be a big finisher. Also requires a great deal of setup to actually get this infused enough in order for that to be powerful, but does seem very cool. I am concerned that like the one place this will legitimately see play is just like Celestial Alignment Druid as something big you play after your Scale of Onyxias or whatever. But I do think that, like, you know, maybe you play like Control Warrior with that thing that summons 3 guys and various Death Rattle things that summon more guys. It is slightly awkward that it doesn't, you know, that it has to be in your hand in order to track the infuse effects. But, you know, giving like, say, token shaman, totem tokens, whatever. Hey, you have Sire Denathrius, this kind of hangs out in your hand, and eventually all your totems have died so many times that you just infuse and blow them up for 4,000 damage. I can't wait for the various videos and Reddit posts and screenshots, whatever, of the biggest Sire Denathrius that will inevitably flood social media. It is worth noting that, yeah, you can tutor this. It is a 10 cost thing, so any deck that really wants Sire Denathrius could potentially play like Tail-End Fordring to draw this as soon as they can, give you, you know, multiple chances to get this infused as quickly as possible. But also, like, a lot of decks, I think that even if they might be able to play this powerfully, it's like, okay, well, you don't want to actually be sitting with a 10 cost card in your hand just because your deck has a bunch of things that you know, die throughout the game. Maybe you don't really want to you know, run the risk of just having essentially a dead card until turn 10. So we'll see. It is definitely, you know, something that can be a win condition for lots of different classes, especially classes that have the ability to make tons of tiny minions, which is one of the reasons I brought up Shaman as a possibility as well. Or Mage with a bunch of volatile skeletons. We'll see. But anyway, that is it. That is all of the cards for Murder at Castle Nathria. Like I said, I am very excited for this set. I love locations as a theme, you know, as a new card type. I think that the ability to have things that can survive through mass removal, that can give you utility, that can support various, you know, mini combos of cards that your deck can be built toward, Really adds to the elements of Hearthstone gameplay that is something that's really felt like it's kind of missed for a long time. There's basically been there's been things that are incredibly transient, incredibly temporary, like minions. Then there's things that are completely permanent, like weapons, or rather like heroes. Then there's things that are semi-permanent, but tend to do like one specific sort of thing, like weapons. And now there's like locations being able to give you this like non-permanent, like ultra temporary way to interact with both your and your opponent's boards. That's just, I feel like, opens up a ton more space for Hearthstone in terms of gameplay that I'm very excited about. I also really like the infuse mechanic as a way to encourage people to play minions, to be like a payoff for playing minions. It doesn't just feel like endlessly bad when your minions are getting killed. Instead, you're endlessly infusing Sire Denathrius and leading toward you being the one to drink up all their blood and claim the victory. So anyway, I'm really excited. Like I said, unfortunately, I will not be able to take part in the theory crafting stream because I am off to Orlando for the Magic Command Fest, and I will be taking pretty much the rest of the time between now and the release of the set off from streaming, just to a little bit of a reset and give me the opportunity to come in to the new expansion with clear eyes, full heart, whatever, be energized to play with the new stuff. And not just worn out from playing, the same stuff that we've played for the past, however many months, again and again. But definitely excited for that comeback. August 2nd is the release of Murder in Castle Nathria. I am stoked for it, and I hope you are too. So, thank you all very much for watching this review. If there's anything that you feel like I missed, anything that you're super excited about, be sure to let me know. Thanks for watching, and I will see you when we are in Castle Nathria tracking down the killer. I think it's you.